Hey guys, so today we're going to be doing graphing the linear equations and finding a solution. So I'm going to show you two different ways. The first way, I'm just going to show you using a graph. Now I did draw this graph, so it might be a little bit off. And then I'm going to show you how to use your calculator. I don't care what method you pick. Honestly, I would suggest that you use the calculator just because it's a little bit easier. And then you don't have to worry about graphing if you hand drew it and all that stuff. So let's look at the first equation is we have y equals x minus 1. And I'm going to draw like a dot next to it, and that's just because I'm going to say this pink pen is going to be that one. So my -1 is my y-intercept, so I'm going to go down 1 and plot a point. And then my slope is x, which is just really 1 over 1. So that means I'm going to go up 1 over 1. 1 over 1, or I could go down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. And I'm just going to do that just a little bit. Okay, so the line looks like that. This one's pretty straightforward when you're graphing it. Again, I drew this, so it's going to be kind of a little wonky a little bit. But if you're graphing it, look like this. We're just going to make that dot really big. And it'll look like that. Okay, so there's your line. Now for the second one, this is where it gets a little bit tricky just because we don't have that nice slope anymore. So we start out looking at this equation, and we have y equals -2/3 x minus 6. So I'm going to go down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I went down 6 because my y-intercept is a -6. And then it's positive. Actually, it should be -2/3. Sorry, guys. So since it's negative, I'm going to go down 2 over 3. But because I'm going to go up off the graph, I'm going to go up 2. 1, 2 over 3. And then if I went down 2, I'd go down 2 over 1, 2, 3, which would be here. And then I'm going to draw and connect those points. And then I'm going to show you how to do it on the calculator for this one. And then the next one, we'll just use the calculator because that one's going to give us a decimal. Okay. So as you can see, these two lines actually have an intersecting point, which is located right here. So this is an intersection. Okay, so that means that's their solution. So I have one solution. So I'm going to say one solution. And it's located at 1, 2, 3, -3. 1, 2, 3, 4. -3, -4. Now I know that this is kind of hard to see because it's a hand-drawn graph, and I know that you guys will be drawing your own graphs a lot. So I'm actually going to show you how to do this in your calculator. And like I said, because you're going to be hand-drawing a lot of this stuff, I recommend that you use your calculator. Just because it's actually a lot easier. So here's a TI-84. If you have an 83, it's the exact same thing. Turn it on. Okay, this is my welcome screen. Go to y equals. Okay, and you'll see that this should be blank. Make sure that these are all blank. So I'm kind of scrolling down to make sure, because a lot of people actually have like this y not is actually full of stuff for whatever reason. So just make sure it's all clear. And then I'm going to go all the way back up to the top. Okay, so I'm going to type in that first equation, which is this one right here. And you don't have to type in y equals, it'll automatically do it. But I'm going to type in x minus 1. So your x is actually located right here under mode. So x minus 1. Alright, that one's actually not that bad to type in. Just because it's just x minus 1. My second equation is, remember, it's -2/3 x minus 6. So I'm going to put it in parentheses. So the parentheses is located above the 8. The negative sign is located under the 3, so negative. And then I'm going to do 2 divided by 3, x, close parenthesis. Actually, let's do this. Let's do parentheses, then x, and minus 6. I'm going to go to graph. Graph is this one right here. And you can see it graphed the first one, then it graphed the second one. If your window looks weird, just go to zoom and push 6, which means zoom standard. Mine was already in zoom standard, but a lot of times, especially if you just ended geometry, sometimes your screen is a little bit messed up. So if you go to Zoom 6. Then if I go seconds, which is this blue button, or it could be a yellow button, go trace. And I'm going to go to intersect, which happens to be number 5. So you could push 5 or go down. Hit that. And now it's saying like, okay, first curve. And you'll see this little spider thing being moved. And I'm going to move it to where I think it is. Well, it looks right about here. Push enter, push enter. And then you see that your intersection is -3, -4. Well, when we graphed it by hand, we got the exact same thing. Okay, so your calculator does work. If you do it on your calculator, just draw it out on here. Just draw the graph as well, so you can use that. So let's go to example 2. And I'm going to use the calculator for this one because we do get a decimal. So we have y equals 3x minus 1 and y equals -1/3 x minus 2. So I'm going to go to y equals, and I'm going to clear this out for both of them. Oops, this one didn't clear. There we go. So for y1, I'm going to write 3x minus 1. So I'm going to show you how to type it in because I know it's been a while since you guys have done this. So 3x minus 1. Okay, push enter. Now for y2 is now we have -1/3 minus 2. So I'm going to do the parenthesis. The negative sign is located under this 3. So -1 divided by 3x minus 2. Push graph. And it'll graph it for you. Okay, and as you can see, we have an intersection right here. If you want to go to zoom and then zoom in, you can. I'm going to keep it as standard just because it's actually really easier to see for me. So I can see the whole graph. And then I'm going to go second trace. And then we go down to intersect. Move it to where you think it is. So I think it's like right about here. Push enter, push enter. And then here's where it intersects. So that's why I said I'm going to use the calculator. So this one has one solution. And it is located at, and if you look down here, it'll tell you. So it says -0.3. -0.3 is for my x, and then -1.9 is my y. Okay, so I'm going to write the calculator steps right here. Let me get a different color. Let's do this color. So calc steps. So 1, go to y equals. This is the button. 2, you're going to type in both equations. Type in both equations. Okay, and that would be like y1 and y2. 3, you're going to push graph. Number 4, you're going to go second trace. And then step 5 is you're going to pick intersect. And then step 6. Oops, I didn't mean to circle that. I'll push, and then you'll just push enter 3 times. Okay, so just for a recap for this. So when you're graphing equations, you can graph them by hand like we did up here, or you can use the calculator like we did here. You guys would just graph it on here, but I wrote the steps here. So going over the steps, I'm going to show you on the calculator just one more time because this is actually the part that people get the most confused about and how to do it. So you go to y equals, you write one equation into y1, the second equation into y2, go to graph. You'll see that it's graphed. Again, if you have a problem with your calculator, go to zoom, push 6. It's just zoom standard. That's going to help keep everything together. And then you're going to go to second trace. Go down to 5 for intersect. Push enter. Move this little spider to where you think that they meet. Enter, enter. And then they'll give you the intersection and you write it down as the solution.